Let's talk about transformation. I mean, real transformation, not hype, not performance, but the kind of transformation that demands truth. I'm Dr. Natasha Gadson, and I help bold, brilliant women stop shrinking and start leading their lives from a place of radical agency and alignment. But here's what I have learned: you cannot transform anything that you are still pretending about. If you've ever found yourself journaling and praying and doing all the right things, but you still feel so disconnected from the powerful center inside of you, it's likely because you skipped the most important step, and that is naming the truth. And I get it, it can be scary, but it's also sacred. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through why name the truth is the very first step in any real transformation and how to start doing it today. Now, we live in a world that rewards pretending. I mean, really, social media makes it easy to curate an appearance of confidence while secretly battling self doubt. And I'm finding that a lot of our environments encourage performance over honesty. And personal development jumps right to vision boards a lot of times without really stopping to ask, what is really going on underneath? Now, avoiding the truth is a survival skill that most of us learned early. We learn to downplay our pain and minimize our desires. And we convince ourselves we're fine when we're really not, because it feels safer to perform than to really confront what we're feeling. But here's the real cost: emotional disconnection, chronic fatigue, not to mention bitterness and stagnation. When you don't name what's really going on inside of you, you build a life that looks good, but it's based on a lie. And even if it looks good on the outside, it doesn't fit you on the inside, and that ultimately drains you. And this is why truth telling is really the first disruption. Without it, any change you make is just surface level, just cosmetic, and ultimately not sustainable. Let me share from my own experience. I remember a time in my life where I looked accomplished on the outside, but inside I was just emotionally numb. I wasn't in crisis and I wasn't spiraling, but I also wasn't very connected to myself. I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. I was serving, I was showing up, I was checking all of the appropriate boxes. But underneath it all, I was shrinking. Smiling but shrinking. Successful on the outside but completely unfulfilled. And I didn't want to really admit it because I felt guilty. How could I say I wasn't okay when everything in my life looked like I was amazingly blessed? But the turning point finally came when I admitted to myself and told myself the truth. I felt like I was performing a version of myself that fit everybody else's expectations except my own. Saying that out loud was really hard, but once I did, it really freed me. Because once I named it, I could begin to explore where it was that I was really hiding, why I was afraid, and what I truly wanted instead. So, why does truth telling create power? Well, when you name the truth, you break that internal agreement you have with performance, shame, and fear. It's like opening a window in a house that has been closed up for years and having a fresh breeze blow right through the entire space. Things that felt heavy suddenly become clear, and choices that felt hard suddenly start making sense. Because truth ultimately is a compass, and once you know what's real, you can decide what comes next. And truth telling is also the beginning of self trust. Because if you can't tell yourself the truth, how can you trust yourself to take the next step? And that is why the first pillar of the Dr. Nat blueprint is to name the truth. Because until you name where you are, what you're feeling, what you're afraid of, anything that comes after that won't stick. One of my former leaders used to put it like this: what you name, you can control. That's why when you get a dog, you don't call the dog dog. You give the dog a name so that the dog responds to its name and you can control the dog. So, how do you start naming the truth? Here's how you start: don't rush, Don't judge, just reflect. Ask yourself some very important questions. Like, what do I pretend is fine that really is not okay? Where in my life do I feel drained or resentful or unfulfilled? And here's a hard one. What truth am I afraid to admit to anyone, even myself? Write it down, say it loud, and start looking at it without shame. And if you're a woman of faith like me, pray about it. Don't pray around it, but ask God to really show you what you have been ignoring. Go ahead and invite divine clarity into your honesty. After all, the truth liberates and it always leads to power. Now, if this video resonates with you, I want to invite you to do something powerful. I want you to drop in the comments one truth that you're ready to name. Now, it doesn't have to be deep, but it does have to be real. And if you want support walking through the full process of transformation, subscribe to this channel. I'm walking you through every step of the Dr. Nat blueprint in this series. And it's the exact same blueprint I use to transform my own life. And remember, this is not about fixing yourself. This is about telling yourself the truth finally and deciding that you are worthy of what comes next. I'll see you in the next video.